All right, we are live and I'm so thrilled. I think this is the first live stream of this year because I did a pre recording last time. So, welcome if you're joining us. You can send us questions on this platform. Which is the super cool thing about doing it live stream is we can answer your questions live. Today, my guest is the beautiful Jessica Luffey, and you're gonna love her. I just met her for like 1 minute. I already love her. So let me tell you a bit about her and then we'll bring her on. Jessica is an operatic soprano and certified specialist in orofacial myology. If you don't know what that is, you soon will. And I promise you, it makes all the difference in your singing and speaking voice. So without further ado, come on in, Jess. Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so thrilled. I love nerding out. And this is like the ultimate in nerd out for me. It makes my heart sing. So thank you for being on the show today. Where I like to start with guests is always the biggest question first, and then we'll get into what is orofacial myology. But the first question I want to know from you, Jessica, is why voice? What was it when you were, I'm imagining little, that grabbed you in the voice category?
Honestly, that's a hard one to answer because
Ah.
it never really was a decision. It was sort of like, well, duh, I'm doing that, you know? The only thing that changed was I went in high school from music theater to opera, but it was never a question of should I be a singer? So,
So when you were little, was there some show or song or artist that just grabbed you, or was it just always?
nope, it was
Just
just
always.
always. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love that. It's so genuine. That's your calling, girl. We're not even gonna question it. Uh, this is interesting to me that you moved from music theater to opera. I usually hear the other way with clients that I work with. So tell me about that decision to move to opera.
Well, I didn't know anything about opera, couldn't really spell it, didn't I mean, nothing. And, I didn't even realize that that was an option. I was just doing the music theater thing and wanted to be a Broadway star in high
Nice.
school, and I happened to meet an opera singer,
Ah,
and she happened to hear me doing, Fontaine and Les Mis, which is a little bit more classical, at least for high school standards, right? And basically, she was like, have you ever tried opera? Do you know anything about it? I think you might be good at it. Do you want to like just try a few lessons with me and see what you think? And that was it.
that's it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
when you
all
know,
it
you
took.
know. That's it.
Yeah, and it's sort of like it sort of made everything fit that didn't quite in music theater at that age.
Mm,
I was always really loud. I never blended into a choir. I also have
mm.
always loved different languages. I've always loved classic literature. I've always
Wow.
loved historic buildings and costumes. And so it literally was like, oh, these are all the things that I love, and it's still music. Perfect.
Oh my gosh. I love this. And you have an active opera career because when I messaged you, you were in Italy doing something fantastic. So I was like, whoa, this girl is on fire. Amazing.
Thank
Amazing. Tell us
you.
about some of your favorite gigs that you've done as an opera singer, soprano.
Oh, I think my favorite one that I've done, I sang Leonora in Fidelio, Beethoven's only opera, which is a fantastic piece. It's
Mm.
rarely done because it's hard to get that collection of singers. It's like a mixed bag of people, and so it's hard to get them all
Ah.
together. And I did it for a very small company, but the director set it untraditionally. She actually set it in Nazi Germany. And
Oh,
it was so poignant because I feel
yeah.
like that's one of the few times that none of us have been there,
Yeah.
but we are all aware of, the pressure and the environment. And so it added this like instantaneous level of drama and suspense that sometimes we don't get in historic pieces because we
Mm.
don't have a lot of connection to, 1650.
Mhm.
So it was really cool to be able to do that. And it just worked so well with the piece, and the piece itself is amazing. My
Wow.
colleagues are amazing. So, yeah.
That sounds awesome. Oh my gosh. Is this show still going or was it like
No, this was
no?
quite a few years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, it needs to be brought back. That is super neat. Creativity is the best. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I want to know about okay, this is where I always find it so fascinating when singers go that one step further and they either go into teaching or they specialize in something voice because um it's one of those things. If you are a singer, you need to take care of that voice and you need to understand how to do it or you don't have it and it doesn't work for you, right? So
Yeah.
tell me about this. I have to keep reading it because it's a word that I get tongue tied around. I'm like, orofacial myology. Fantastic. I've heard the word before. Saying I must have a tongue tie of some kind because it's just interesting for me. But tell me about this particular area of voice and what drew you to it.
Yeah, so we can just call it Myo, MYO for short.
Thank you.
It's a lot
Myo.
easier. Yeah.
Myo. Got
And
it.
it actually does go by a couple other names in the healthcare world, but basically all it is like physical therapy for your mouth, your tongue, your lips,
Mm,
your face,
mhm,
sometimes
mhm.
your neck as well. And it was started with all the normal humans, so this is not a singer creation. There's just lots of wonderful crossover for singers.
Oh, yeah.
There's lots of great applications. For example, people going through speech therapy, it's a great addendum to that because it gives muscular strength and control, which is really
Mm.
important. It's also, oddly enough, really great for sleep apnea, and
Oh,
there's lots of fabulous studies about how doing myofunctional therapy can improve sleep apnea non-invasively. So, if you want to,
wow.
there's lots of amazing rabbit holes to go down. It's a really,
I see
really
that.
fascinating thing. But I sort of think of it when it comes to singers and speakers, it's like having a sports therapist for this sport, for the sport of singing, for the sport of
Yes.
public speaking.
Yes.
Because as we all know, there are specific ways that we have to move as singers and specific sounds we have to make that don't exist in our native language and don't exist in a normal human life. And so, what this can help us do is help us figure out from like an ergonomic and an anatomical approach what's the best way to move to make that sound, because
Ooh.
I can have a couple different options making vowels, making an Italian ah. That's a really great example. A lot of us Americans struggle with that.
Mhm.
Um, so it's using sort of like a sports and a PT background and applying it to the world of singing.
Oh, I love that. So what got you interested in this? I'm so curious. What was it that was like, "That, I want that, more of that in my life?"
Yeah, well, I came across it totally on accident.
Mhm,
My father was a dentist. He's now retired, but he was invited to a class that was talking about myofunctional therapy, and
mhm.
he couldn't go, and so he sort of gave me his ticket and told me to go. And I was like, I
What?
have no idea what this is,
Wow.
but face muscles, I don't know. I guess I'll learn something, whatever. And I go, and I realize that it was teaching all of the things that my university schooling didn't quite when it came to vocal
Mhm,
anatomy and vocal ped.
mhm.
And at the time, I was tongue tied. I didn't know. I was secretly tongue
Interesting.
tied.
Wow.
And I had horrible tongue tension. I had pain. I had tension. I had
Wow.
horrible endurance. And it was starting to get to the point where it was emotionally turning inwards because I was such a hard worker. I was smart. I did my homework. I tried to practice, but I never felt like I made it anywhere. And
Mm.
I look back now and I realized that I was really close to quitting.
Wow.
And I ended up going to this class, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the answer to so many questions that I've been asking all around the vocal world, but
Wow.
I either got no answer, a vague answer, or some metaphoric answer.
Yes.
And then also in that same class, I realized I had a tongue tie because we all did a little test together, which you and I will do in a few minutes.
Oh my god, I'm scared. I know I have one. I'm like, "I must." I don't know. I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah.
yes, continue.
Yeah. So, and then from that moment on, I had no plans to like do this or teach this or have another career, but I just became absolutely obsessed with it.
Mhm.
And I wanted to learn it just for myself. And then eventually people started finding me and they're like, I know that you did this and you went through this. Would you mind teaching me just as a singer? Because I do have a Myo, but she's not a singer, or they're not familiar with it, or they
Mm.
were great, but I still have a specific question about, this Russian vowel. Do you have experience with that? And it
Mhm.
basically just ended up being another business just because I had people coming to me looking for help and experience. And now
Mhm.
I'm totally addicted and
You're
I
doing it.
definitely, yeah, I consider it like two equal careers. I love them both. I love my clients. They're incredible. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Oh, this makes me so happy. This is the reason we do this podcast. When you said you were close to quitting and you found this ta-da, this thing that changed everything for you, that's the point. We need to talk more in this industry,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of we talk a lot about exercises and warm-ups and vocal health, but we don't even know, a lot of us don't even know how the voice works other than breath, vocal cords, and resonance. And that's
Yeah.
kind of it. So this is super, super important. So tell me about first, I have so many questions. Oh my goodness, I can't even keep it straight. Speech therapy versus myo. How can we understand the connection and the difference?
Great. Yeah. So, first of all, there are lots of speech therapists who are trained in Myo.
Got it.
And there's
Mhm.
lots of people who start in Myo and want to become speech therapists. So, there is a lot of crossover. But
Mhm.
basically, it's like what, excuse me, what the result that people are
Got it.
focused on is. So, speech therapy it's all about communication. So, we're
Mhm.
focused on the sound, creating the right sound. So, sort of like your voice teacher, we're focused on the
Mhm.
sound, we're focused on the result.
Yes.
Mayas, we're focused on the function. So,
Um,
we're worried about mobility, we're worried about strength, we're worried about endurance, and making
nice.
sure that you do things in a healthy way. So,
Mhm.
it does, ideally, we want both. It
Right.
doesn't have to be from the same person.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, there is a little bit of a difference in myo and speech, but they're both important.
That's a really great distinction, the sound versus the function. I love that, and you do need both. Exactly. So,
Yes.
for those of you listening out there, get both if you're not doing both. So, get both. So, I wanna give folks a real, motivation to really take this super seriously. So, what are some signs that you might be suffering from myo issues that singers might actually be struggling with now, thinking it's something else? They don't know, they're close to quitting, they're so confused. What are some signals that what we're about to talk about, is really poignant for them?
Oh, I love this question. Uh, what I would say is singers are so smart and they're so in
Mm,
tune and they
mhm,
work so hard. So let's all give ourselves a lot of credit, which I don't think
mhm.
we do that very often.
We don't. We're
So,
hard on ourselves.
right. So, if you understand something, like you have the knowledge, if you have the experience, if you have the hard work and the dedication to something, but it's not technically like vocal technique getting better,
Mhm.
that's a red flag that we need to
Interesting.
explore.
Yeah.
Because there is no reason why, if we understand something and we put repetition into it, it should get
Mhm.
a lot better very quickly. And if it
Mhm.
doesn't, it's not your fault. It just means that something else is going on and we haven't figured out what that
Mhm.
something else is yet.
Mhm. That's a big one. It's not your fault
It's not
because
your fault.
it's not your fault. There's something else going on, and if you don't know what you don't know, right? So this is great. So what are some of those signs that what is the sign of a tongue tie? What is the sign of I understand this also has something to do with breath and the jaw and everything. The face, right? Nobody thinks about face muscles when they're singing necessarily, but it's a huge part. So tell us some of the pieces that fit in with this work.
So there's so many, but some of the most universal ones are, again, if if everything vocal technique wise is getting better, except say staying in tune in your upper passaggio. That never
Mm,
gets better over years and
mm,
years. Or it could be,
mhm.
transitioning into your lower register or your Italian ah vowel. If there's always one thing that never gets better, no matter how hard you hammer it, that's a red flag.
Interesting.
Endurance issues is another huge one. If you can
Mm,
have a beautiful high note before you start your session, or you got one or two, but you can't do 10 in a row, that's a red flag. Because
interesting.
if we have the skill to do it once, we should be able to do it pretty much 10 times in a row and it actually should get better. And if
Wow.
you can't, that's a red flag.
Oh, girl, you're changing so many lives right now. Seriously. Seriously, if you can do it once, like, that's the takeaway, that's the nugget. If you can do it once, then you have the skill, so it's not a skill issue, folks. Are
You
you
do,
listening? I hope
yeah.
they're
And you know
listening.
what? A great metaphor that you can kind of give yourself is let translate yourself into a tennis player really quick.
Mm. Mm.
If a tennis player has trouble with their overhand
Mhm.
and they have, you know, a couple of sessions with their coach, they're watching themselves in the mirror, they try a couple of things, it's going to get better. You as
Mhm.
a singer should be doing all of that exact same process.
Oh my gosh. I'm just
So
getting
don't
chills. This is
Yeah, so
good.
don't overthink
Good.
it. We try one of
Mhm.
my least favorite things in the whole world, actually, is this idea that singing is 95% mental. I don't buy into that at all. And I
Interesting.
encourage people not to either, because this is one of the dangerous results that can come from that is that you start thinking, oh, I guess I don't understand. I guess I'm not good enough. I guess I'm not talented enough. I just need to practice harder, work harder, la, 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 la. No,
Mm.
there could be something
Mm.
stopping you from moving in the way that you need to.
Ooh, I'm so curious about this. Okay, I wanna stop here for a second and ask you, so do you believe in, like, singing is a mental game, but we can't discount that it's a body game? Is that or is it
Absolutely.
yeah, okay, so you believe in both. Yeah, that's
It's a
exactly it.
it's a mental game.
Yeah,
I mean, it's live performance
yeah,
under pressure.
yeah.
Every top athlete has that, and of
Psyching
course we
yourself
do
out.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like again, think about it in any sports metaphor. There is always some
Mhm,
aspect of every sport that is a deep brain action. And we singers
mhm,
have that too. But I
mhm,
think we singers miss a lot of easy opportunity to progress very quickly
mhm.
when we just sort of say that everything's mental. Our lives would be a lot easier
Yeah.
if we utilized what we have that we can see and we can consciously control.
The athlete metaphor is just money. I think that if we all vocalists, singers, speaking, whatever you're doing, if you treat yourself like an athlete, there is that mental component, but there's a serious physical component there, and we can't deny that. And it's not enough to just know how your breathing works, right? Because a lot of us singers think, "Well, I've got the breath dialed in, so I'm good," or
Right.
the resonance, I'm good. But as you're like blowing my mind right now, there's so much more stuff that of course I've thought of, but I've not given it the weight.
Mm.
And by weight, I just mean importance, not like, oh God, another thing to do, like the importance of it. Talk more about, okay, I'm so curious. So how can we, you said you can assess tongue ties. What is a tongue tie, first of all? And then
Yeah.
how do we know?
Yeah. So, first of all, let's have a really big preface moment. Let's all just take a breath
Okay.
because people are getting nervous already. I
People
can
are
feel
getting nervous. They're
it.
like, shoot, what if I have it? Then what?
Let's all just take a breath because if we find out that we do have a tongue tie, first of all, I would say it's a cause for celebration because
Oh,
that means that we're finally identifying
uh-huh.
this mystery thing that's been blocking all of our progress.
Oh my gosh.
So
So
let's
good.
keep that in mind. But so another thing I want to say real quick, tongue tie is much more than just like, do I have a lisp or not?
Ah,
That was an old medical definition, but it has changed drastically over the past 10 or 5 years. And now all a tongue tie is, is your tongue able to isolate 100% independently from your jaw, your
no.
larynx, your soft palate? Uh huh. Okay, so if we think about it in that context, before we even talk about ourselves, we can
Mhm.
understand as singers and speakers, oh, why this would be so important for my
Mm.
tongue to have independence and freedom and isolation.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes. Okay, so
Okay,
now that we're
we're
all a
on
little,
board. We're on
yeah,
board and
now
we're
that we're
feeling
calm,
good.
let's do it.
And we should say too, if you do not have a tongue tie and you still have issues, there's solutions for you, so don't worry.
Yeah,
We will find
yeah.
those here or we will find them in another show. Don't worry. Okay.
Yes, definitely. So,
Okay.
okay, so we're all going to start by just having a nice big normal smile with our teeth together. Cheese. And then we're going to keeping that smile open as big as we can comfortably. And then I'm going to take my fingers and I'm just going to measure
Mhm.
roughly how many fingers I can open when I'm holding that position.
I'm so nervous.
So it
Okay.
doesn't really matter. For me, I can get 3 fingers.
Okay.
But if you get 2, that's fine, whatever it is for you.
Mm,
I just want you to remember that number. You can count in halves if you want
okay.
to, 2 and a half, whatever.
I'm
Yeah?
trying to keep smiling while opening my mouth. It's bizarre. I
Yep,
know we do
smile
this as
open.
fingers, but I'm like, now I'm overthinking. Okay, 2
Okay,
and a
great.
bit. I'm gonna say
2
2 and
and
a
a
bit.
bit. Okay, great. So just remember whatever number that is because that's kind of our baseline. We're
Perfect.
measuring with your tongue down, right?
Mhm.
No demand yet, how much jaw opening you have. Okay, great. So now we're gonna touch the tip of our tongue right behind our top center teeth on the back of our 2 big teeth in the center. And then I'm slowly gonna open as big as I can with the tip of my tongue still touching. So the tip of my tongue up, still opening, good. And I'm gonna do that same thing. I'm gonna measure how many fingers I can fit with the tip of my tongue up.
Good God. Maybe 2.4 fingers?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so you may notice that it becomes less, right? So
Yeah.
what we're doing is by lifting the tip of the tongue up, I'm putting the tongue tip and middle of the tongue under demand. I'm asking it to hold a position while I move the jaw down. So I'm measuring how
Mm,
much isolation and mobility the tip and middle of your tongue has. So if
okay.
you pass this test, that means that the tip of your tongue is totally free and
Ooh.
it's totally able to isolate away from your jaw. If you notice that the number of fingers is already less, what that means is that the tip of your tongue or the middle of your tongue is already not isolating away from your jaw. So we'll talk about what that means
Ooh.
in a second, but let's keep going
Ooh.
because we got one more.
Okay. Oh
So
gosh.
now
Okay.
I want everyone to make some tongue click noises. Fab, cool. And as you do this, you'll notice that your whole tongue sits on the roof of your mouth, kind of like a rug, and then it
Mm,
snaps down. So,
mhm.
what we want is we want to hold it up there. So, let's hold 2 seconds and then make a snap noise. Mm, mm, mm,
Oh.
mm. Yeah, so making sure that I'm holding it up before I snap, not just letting it rest on the bottom. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to
Oh.
suction and hold it up.
Okay.
And then I'm again going to measure with my fingers, with my whole tongue up, how much I can open. Yeah. And you,
That's embarrassing, but I'm okay with it. Okay. I don't even know how to make the click sound once I'm holding it. This is bizarro. Oh my god, now we're down to, like, 2 fingers.
so if you're having trouble making that click noise,
Mhm.
that's one clue that the musculature in your posterior tongue is a little bit weak.
Posterior. Okay, I'm writing
And
this
just
down,
because we're
I'm taking
singers and
seriously.
talkers and speakers doesn't mean that we can't be muscularly weak because this, I see this a lot in my studio, even people that don't want to do the tongue tie release. You
Mhm.
know, our tongue has 8 different muscles in it. And I can do a lot of the things that I need to do as a speaker and a singer in some
Mhm.
kind of way with, 2 or 3 of them. But I can do it in a
Wow.
much healthier way with all of them. And so just like with body posture, we're all familiar with like rounded back and all that stuff, right?
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
We do that with our tongues. We start to favor certain muscles.
Oh my
And so the
gosh.
other ones start to atrophy a little bit. So yeah, so there that's another reason that if you're having trouble with this click sound. So
I'm gonna
anyway,
just
going back.
show some, chats here. People are loving this. This is great info. This is mind-blowing info. Thank you. This world needs to hear I love that name. I know.
Thank
It's
you.
so good. Thank you for watching. So good. Oh my gosh. Okay, continue. I'm sorry, Jess, I interrupted.
No, no, it's fine. So what we need to do is we need to compare all three of those little finger numbers that we got.
Oh,
So, first
no.
of all, let me say it is very common that most people fail this tongue click test because
Okay.
that is where a lot of what we in the healthcare world call hidden posterior tongue ties live. All that means is that if you lifted up your tongue, it would just look normal. We can't
Mhm.
really see it. It doesn't look like there's this big rope line in there. You don't have a
Mhm.
lisp, anything like that. But you do
Mhm.
have some of our more secret symptoms, like you can't sing closed E vowels very high. Everyone should be, yeah, I know I got you with that one.
Oh, dear.
Everyone should be able to sing all vowels in your whole range. They're gonna be certain ones are gonna be uglier than others just because of
Yeah.
the way acoustics work, but you should
Yeah.
be able to physically do it.
Oy.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I know.
I have a question here because I've seen vowel shaping. Is vowel shaping legit, or are we just making room for keeping our tongue ties? Rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I wanna make sure that I say this totally correctly.
Ah,
Um, there are lots of different ways that if, you covered my face, there's
mhm,
lots of different ways that I can make what sounds like a perfect E vowel on a pitch.
mhm, mhm,
Some of them are gonna cause me endurance issues. Some of
mm.
them are gonna affect my overtones. Some of them I might not be able to do if I have certain kinds of tongue ties, so that option isn't available to me.
Wow. Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah,
gonna answer your question by not answering it, sorry.
I like this. No, I love this. You're getting us thinking, and that's the point. It's like, interesting. My mind keeps going to, "Why the hell aren't we taught this in the beginning?"
I
OMG.
know!
I'm kinda peeved, but I'm also excited, so I don't even know what to do with myself right now. So, wow. Wow, okay, so my number is getting worse with the posterior
Yeah.
test.
So
That's what I'm gonna say.
if your number got drastically worse with just
Yeah.
the tip up,
Mhm.
um, that means that a lot of your quote unquote symptoms are going to be showing up in your middle tongue. The most common ones are that you really hate your upper passaggio, wherever that, wherever. I know everyone feels so like personally, like I'm whispering right in their ear when we do this.
Oh, come on.
Yes, so if you
Yeah.
have trouble staying in tune or you feel like you kinda have to, like, drive it into the pocket because it doesn't just go, you gotta, like, gear shift it into there.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of, women voices with tongue ties in that in that middle portion of the tongue, they get sort of
Mhm.
this, like, false vocal break happening between A4 and, like, C5. So anatomically, our passaggio for sopranos and most women should be a little bit higher, but there's sort of
Mhm.
like this fake break that happens there, and people describe
Wow.
like a clunk or a shift, and it's like no matter. I mean, I can do sirens, I can do anything, and I still
Yeah.
feel like a hit, hit, hit happening in there. So that's a common
Wowzers.
one. And
Mhm.
also, last one would be just anterior or front of your neck tension and pain.
Mm.
Um, if you feel like your larynx, your speaking voice is just like not natural, there's something about it that's a little too high or a little too low, and your
Mhm,
larynx
mhm.
just never feels relaxed. That's a common thing.
Good
And
God, woman,
if
you're changing my life. Okay, here we go.
there, there's more, but those are the big ones. And
Okay.
if you dropped a lot of fingers when we did the tongue click exercise, again, we're
Mhm,
measuring your posterior tongue. So
mhm,
that usually shows up in soft palate issues. So the back of our tongue and
mm,
our soft palate are directly anatomically connected. So if you feel like your soft palate is slow or sluggish, or it'll go up halfway, or it goes up and then it
wow.
crashes back down on certain
Mhm,
vowels or when you're in
mhm,
descending lines. Also, people often describe, oh, I can sing a high note, but I can't like hide, or excuse me, I can't ride a high tessitura because it just pulls my larynx too much.
mhm,
And also, what I mentioned earlier about um, not being able to sing closed vowels like E or E at a much higher pitch. It has to be something more
Mm.
open that allows the tongue to sit lower, or else it's too pulling. And these people often experience posterior or back of the neck strain, shoulder tension, and even
Mm.
pelvic floor issues sometimes.
Wow. Doesn't that show you how interconnected we are?
Yes, so
Fantastic.
connected. And for most people these days are familiar with fascia.
Yeah.
So your tongue tie sits right against what the deep fascial front line. And
Mhm.
I encourage everyone to look up a picture of this because it
Mm.
hits pretty much all of the major points for speakers and singers. So it starts in your tongue
Mhm.
and it goes into your jaw and then it goes into your larynx and anterior neck and then it goes through your diaphragm and
Oh,
then it goes
gee.
through your pelvic floor and then it goes
All the
all the way
things.
down to your toes. Just the major
All the things. Yep.
main areas we need. So
No
what
big
that
deal. Just
means
all of them.
just all of them. So what that means though is like again, I think of this, I encourage people to think of this as like a really cool, oh wow, I finally figured out what this is, right? I finally figured
Uh-huh.
out why I feel like I can never breathe out all the way or breathe in all the way or why my pelvic floor is sluggish and my soft palate is sluggish.
What the heck?
Huh.
Yeah.
Because they're
Hmm.
mirroring each other on that same
Wow.
fascial line.
I have so many
Mm.
selfish questions right now.
Yes, go
Okay,
for it.
okay, okay. So if you're singing, but your voice is getting kind of a stuffy sound, that's obviously a
Mhm.
soft palate, I would imagine a soft palate issue, but that could actually be a tongue issue. Is that what we're saying? Like, it's so interconnected? Oh my
Yes. So when
god.
we think about tongue ties, just because of the sake of the name, we think about it like a rope or like a line, right? But
Mm.
it's really more like
Mhm.
a spider web. So
Oh.
everyone's spider web can look a little bit different. It can
Mhm,
affect certain muscle groups in your tongue more than others. That's one of the reasons why people end up
mhm,
favoring certain ones over others because the tie is
mhm,
limiting how much one of them can move. So,
mhm.
anyway, if you're living with this spider web, let's imagine that one side of it is tighter than the other. Let's imagine the
Mm,
right side of my spider web is tighter. Every time I
mhm,
move my right arm, it's going to tug everything along that line. Do you think I'm going to
mm.
have more shoulder tension on my right side? Do you think if I have more shoulder tension on my right side, it's also going to eventually cause some hip tension on my right side too?
Oh my
Yes,
god, what? What? Yes, of course. I've never thought these things through, but as you're saying them, I'm getting there. I'm like, "Oh,
right?
what?"
If you have a bad knee on your right side, and you
Mm,
also notice that, when you're singing some heavy rep, you get that little itch on your right jaw or that little twang on your right laryngeal anterior
wow.
neck. What you're feeling is that whole bungee cord being tugged, tugged, tugged after it's already stretched to the max. Because that tie is
Mhm,
sort of like solidifying everything.
mhm,
And so you're
mhm,
feeling all of that tension travel, not just from what's actually actively moving it, the
mhm,
tongue,
mhm,
but through the whole body as well. So you may
mhm,
be a singer who's like, oh my gosh, yeah, my hip really kills me after a performance. Or I notice that on days when my body's really tired, I have way more neck tension and tongue tension. That's what you're
mhm.
feeling is that whole interaction.
Wow, 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 wow. Okay, another selfish question. If you have reconstructive dental surgery or a jaw surgery, would this be somewhere you would wanna look? I imagine I'm leading the witness here, but your whole mouth is changing shape. So, for example,
Yes.
moving the jaws up, both up, you could think, "Oh, this is." I'm asking from a selfish place. I had a dental surgery in 2007, and my voice has been different since, and I just
Yeah,
thought age, right? Because we go there and we're like,
yeah,
"Oh, I guess that's real." But now I'm curious, like, when you change the shape of your mouth, d
yes,
could you have a new issue you didn't have before? Could it accentuate issues that were always there, but you got around? Talk to me about
yes,
that. Mhm.
definitely. And
Mm.
also, this is a two-way street. Your
Mhm.
muscles and your bones talk to each other back and forth.
Mhm.
So if you adjust your bones, it's going to affect your musculature. If
Mhm.
you change your musculature, it's going to affect your bones. So one
Right.
example of that is
Mm.
when people go through some of this tongue posture work that I'm working on with them, their upper maxillary arch starts to change. They get a little bit more room in their mouth. They
Wow.
stop teeth grinding so much. So, yes, it's totally a two-way street. And
Mm.
to answer your question, yes, if we have any kind of reconstructive surgery or even something like Botox, even if you
Oh,
want to talk about like the whole face yoga thing, face yoga is like trying to be a form of Myo, basically. That's what this
okay.
is.
I'm on the
Yeah,
fence about that too. I'm like, A, it doesn't look natural, and B, is it helpful for singers or not? I don't know, or speakers.
right. So, one really like cool side effect to like the myofunctional exercises that I do is it really does make people quote unquote look better and balance out
Oh,
your face. So there is that like face yoga aspect of it.
okay.
Um, but yeah, definitely any sort of reconstructive stuff, or
Yeah,
even
wow.
people that like get injuries on
Mhm.
one side, car accidents, hit with a baseball, pick pick something.
Right,
Yeah,
right, and if it's on one side, it pulls the whole system. That's what I'm getting from this conversation. It's a spider web. Yeah. Oh.
definitely.
Oh. Alright, so for someone who's just found out that they have some tongue issues and they're like, "Oh dear, now what? Is this gonna be a huge" like, I can see people going, "Oh god, now I need to have tongue exercises, blah, blah, blah," but it's worth it because it will save you from doing other kinds of exercises that aren't working. That's what I'm
Yes.
understanding here. So what can we
Yeah.
do about this? Yeah,
Well, I actually want to make it a little bit more extreme, but being
excellent.
honest, which is
Okay.
that, you know, if you're having trouble with certain vocal technique issues and stuff, I'm gonna be honest with you, and you already, you all already know this. More lessons isn't gonna change it. You already
Mhm.
understand it. You already know
Mhm.
it's not working, right? The problem is
Mhm.
that you can't literally do what you know. So, um,
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, a tongue tie release surgery is really the only thing that's gonna allow you to access your full potential if it's limiting
Mm.
you in specific ways.
Got
Now,
it.
I know that this is scary for people because they're like, "Oh my god, surgery? Ah." Okay,
Mhm,
so let's
mhm,
talk about
mhm,
this real quick. It's
mhm.
very simple. You're awake the whole time. The whole thing takes 30 minutes to an hour. A lot of dentists do it. So most people really only have
Wow.
to go maybe somewhere within their state. And
Mhm,
that's being very conservative because for singers, we want you to send you to somebody who is amazing, right?
mhm, mhm.
So I don't want people to be worried about, oh, this surgery and it's going to change my voice and stuff. People come out of that surgery and it is a complete identity shift. I
Wow.
I could never ever have achieved any of the things that I've done as a singer without my release. Hands down. Never. Because
Wow.
I had so much pain, so much tension. I had pitch trouble. I had all of this stuff that literally
Mm.
instantly went away.
Oh
Instantly.
my gosh. Wow. So how do you know when I guess you need to see a specialist to know if you need the surgery. We've done the
Yes.
test, so that might give you a signal to, yeah, let's pursue
Yeah.
this
So the
road.
test is a
Yeah.
great, just like, oh, I'll explore this, maybe go do some
Mhm.
YouTube stuff. Great.
Mhm.
But you want someone like me, you want to start with a
Mhm.
myofunctional therapist
Mhm.
because they're going to be the ones who, one, help you find a surgeon. You shouldn't have to do
Mhm.
that. That's not part of your job. They're going to find you
Mhm.
somebody who's amazing. And they're
Excellent.
also who's going to prep you for surgery and who's going to do post surgery because again, this is muscle, right? We
Mhm.
want to make sure that even after you're released that you don't revert back to some of your old bad habits. So we
Right.
have to prep you for surgery, get you nice and strong, and then we need to see you afterwards. But even some of the stuff that we do before surgery, you should be noticing some changes in your speaking
Mhm.
and your singing. And
Mhm.
especially after the surgery, um, big changes. People notice it in the chair. It's very
Wow.
common that people are like, my shoulder tension disappeared in the chair. I
Oh, you're
felt
kidding
it
me. Oh
leave
my
my
god.
body. I spontaneously like inhaled I also felt my pelvic floor like relax and drop down while it was happening. And that doesn't, people don't always feel things happening. It
Wow.
doesn't mean it didn't work, but it is very common just because we're so kinesthetic. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
You just answered my next question. It was like, how what was the rehab after? Was everything different? But it's like, yeah, you do need to give it some time and attention afterwards, but you'll feel that release. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. So what
So
causes tongue ties? Like what do we know? Are you
the
born with it?
yeah, they're genetic. They are.
Oh, for
They are
God's sakes.
genetic.
Okay.
I know. One more thing to
Thanks a
talk
lot,
about
mom
in
and dad.
therapy. Yeah.
Um, okay. Well, that's
Yes,
good.
but
Like, it's nothing that we did because as singers, we take it on. It's so personal. Oh, I didn't know I had a tongue tie and it's my fault. No, you
yes.
didn't know because you didn't know. It's not widely talked about in the world of singing and speaking for some
No, it's
reason.
not, and
So
and it needs to be. We're slowly,
needs to
slowly
be.
getting there.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So join the community and scream about it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
another brief thing with tongue ties is that people always ask, well, like this didn't bother me, 5 or 10 years ago, and now I'm having all of these issues that seemingly come out of nowhere. And
Mhm.
if I had this all along,
Right.
why is it only
Right.
bothering me so much right now? So my
Mhm.
answer to that is, well, again, how many how many Olympians are will do figure skating or
Okay.
gymnastics? How many of
Got
them
it.
are young? How many of them are
Yeah.
older? Have there been people who are older?
Fair.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But when you're younger, you can beat yourself up more and it doesn't affect you. You can push through, you can
Ah.
muscle through that last 20% and be fresh as a daisy the next day. You can
Mhm. Mhm.
really yank on that whole
Mhm.
fascial line and just muscle through that tongue tension and that tongue tie, and it's
Mhm.
not going to debilitate you the next day. Whereas
Yeah.
as we get older, we're not as fresh, and we're also usually doing more demanding things. We're speaking longer, our roles are longer, they're more
Mhm.
demanding. And
Mhm.
so most people are like, yeah, I've always had tongue tension, but it gets worse. Or I've always hated E vowels, but it's getting worse. That's
Interesting.
exactly what we're talking about. It's always been there, but
Mhm.
now you can't really deny it as
Mhm.
easily. Yeah.
And this is where the danger comes in blaming age, like I've done. I'm like, "Okay, I
Hmm.
guess." I refuse to believe it. I'm like, "Look at Paul McCartney, look at Mick Jagger, they're still going, they're singing beautiful." And then, these issues creep up and you're like, "Oh, I guess it is real." But now I'm just like, "No." I mean, maybe the recovery is different as you age, that's what I'm hearing you say, but
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
And how
So
many of
I
us are
want to,
blaming age?
yeah, I know. I talk about tennis a lot, which is funny because I'm not playing it. But
I
but
love that.
if anyone's familiar with Roger Federer, he's one of my
Uh-huh.
greatest examples. I mean, he's a total goat, right? But
Mhm.
he was very old when he retired. But one thing that's very important about him is his injury record. It is
Oh.
extremely low.
Oh.
And what I find so fascinating about him compared to some other people is
Mhm.
that their injury records increase as they age, and his didn't.
Wow.
And I think that really should be our goal. Are you moving and speaking and singing in a way that is everything that you need and nothing that you don't?
Ooh.
Because if
Mhm.
you're performing like that, that is real stamina. That is real skill. If you want to talk about
Wow.
skill, that's
Wow.
real skill, right?
Wow.
That should be our goal. And
See,
we
I love
can't
your
do
tennis
that with a tongue
analogies.
tie. Yeah.
It makes so much sense. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so we've got tongue ties. What other things is what I was trying to say there? We talked about the facial muscles, the jaw. So what other things could be inhibiting us that we should be aware of? We know about the tongue tie. What are some other things that we would see a mile for?
Yeah. So another thing that I love doing in my Zoom studio is, again, addressing these musculature imbalances
Mm.
because we've all seen that, kind of like bowel chart of like the little
Mhm.
person's head
Mhm.
sideways,
Mhm.
but we don't take people's morphology into account. So
Mhm.
that's a big word. It basically just means the shape of you. And
Mm.
that's very important because we talk about, we would never say, oh, well, I'm a dramatic soprano and I'm going to sing Chi bel sogno and Susanna or whatever. Sorry, that was a reference people didn't understand. You would,
I'll look
sorry.
it up. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Like we want to give you what you're good at, right?
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
we all just talk about the tongue like everyone's got the same one. Well, some people got long tongues, some people got wide tongues, some people got short tongues, right?
Wow.
We all have the same muscles, but the shape of you matters. How
Mhm.
you make an E vowel on a high note if you have a long tongue versus a short tongue is different.
Ooh.
And that's something that I don't think
Mhm.
really any voice teachers or vocal coaches talk about, and we
No.
need to be talking about it.
We need to be talking about it. My mind went there because of Gene Simmons. And I've always been wondering, like, how the hell is that guy working with that huge tongue? But he is. So, yes,
Yeah.
there are different shapes. There's different of course there are. We're not all built the
Yeah.
same. It makes perfect sense
And
when you think it through.
right. And I think
Mhm.
that's why some of us, when our teachers do talk about it, it can still get us in trouble because most people are teaching from their own morphology. I have a long tongue, so
Mhm.
I'm going to teach you what long tongues do, not even thinking about, do
Wow.
you have a short tongue? Do you have a wide tongue? Right?
Mm.
And so there is this total disconnect that's happening. And I think
Mhm.
this is just a hypothesis, but I think that's one of the reasons why singers have to try a couple different voice teachers throughout their careers because of this idea of morphology is not being consciously addressed. So, what one tongue position works well for some of the singers in their studio, but it doesn't work for you, eventually you're going to find a new teacher who suggests a quote unquote different technique, but it's really just a different morphological shape that works for you.
Interesting. Is there a I hate saying life hack, but is there a life hack to finding the right teacher? Like, I don't even know what that would be if we all went to the, you know, uh, Myos and figured out what shapes we are and then found the proper teacher. I don't know. Have you ever I don't know. Is this a thing?
That's a really interesting, just like thinking thought, right?
Yeah.
Would, and I think, but this is, again, a hypothesis. This is why I think so many people in general do well seeing teachers who are their own voice type,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
right? Because
Agreed.
it it already fixes so many morphological questions that we have, and it's like automatically aligning you, and so you don't have to address those things. They don't
Mm.
become issues as
Mhm,
readily.
mhm. Interesting. I have a question for you. Do you teach singing and Myo as one, or are
Yes,
you just yeah, okay, okay,
I
that's what I thought I
do. I
saw, so I'm
do.
like, "That's wild. That's so good."
Yes,
Okay,
I do.
I
So I do a
understand this.
lot of guaranteed it's not like anything you have ever done before. It is pretty
I love
wild.
it.
It's
Love
pretty
it.
wild, but, some of my favorite things about it is that, the kind of work that we do is not, like, knowledge based, and
Mhm.
it's not even understanding based.
Mm.
So, when I give people exercises, there is no sort of, "I don't know if I'm doing this right or not," when I go to practice, which is so valuable,
Oh,
right?
so valuable.
So valuable. So, what we
Mm.
do is there's a term in the PT world. It's called a constrictive exercise, which sounds like a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing. It's
Mm.
an exercise that's designed in a way where you either do it perfectly
Mhm.
or you fail.
Excellent.
And this ends up being the fastest way to learn because you don't have to think, was that right? I need to analyze it. I need to think about what it felt like and
Oh,
describe it back and any of that stuff, right?
there's your life
By
hack. If
there's
we're
your
looking for
life
one,
hack,
which I really don't buy into, but if I did, I would buy into it right now. That there it is. Yeah, yeah.
right?
Oh my
Right?
gosh, time saving.
So, what we do together is we work through, phases where we build skills on top of each other, just like
Mhm.
anything in life, right?
Mhm.
But we're giving you exercises in a way where I force your body to do it correctly.
I love this.
Yes.
I
And the
should just say
cool thing
thank you.
is You're
On behalf of
welcome.
all vocalists everywhere, thank you.
You're so welcome. I love you guys so much. Um, so yeah, so if we force your body to do things the right way,
Mhm.
then if you want to, you can always go back and be like, "Oh, it felt like this." But you don't have to
Mhm.
say, "Was it right? Was it this? Was it
Mm-mm,
that?"
mm-mm.
Right? And because we're doing motor learning,
Mhm.
circling back to my idea that singing is not just mental, this is
Mhm.
motor learning. So when we're doing motor learning and I force you to do it correctly,
Mhm.
what you accomplish in one day from day one to day two is going to be like a 50% improvement.
Oh my
We're
god.
not talking like little bits. We're
Wow.
talking about huge improvements very quickly and in a way where people feel completely in control because they're the one facilitating that change. So you don't have to wait to have another voice lesson. You don't have to wait to like get
Right?
inspired by some new idea while you're practicing, right?
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
learning in the moment. This is how I achieve the result I want, always, forever. It's very mathematical.
I just feel like this is the missing piece of singing lessons everywhere
I
because
I really
it's so
do. Yeah.
intangible and we're like, "Well, it
Yes.
feels like this metaphor here," and
Oh.
then we're doing our best because we can't see inside, but, oy, thank you
Yeah.
for coming into my world. That's all I'm gonna say.
You're
I
so
thank you for coming
welcome.
into my inbox. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. Jessica, I can't believe we're at time, but we are. Where can people find more about you?
Yes. So you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, Opus Myo, OPUS Myo. I have tons of information about tongue ties, fascial lines, Myo stuff. Any little rabbit hole you want to go down, you can find me
I'm gonna
there.
watch all these after, so don't worry. That'll be me going through all of it.
Yes, I'm also
Oh.
on tonguetiedsingers.com. And
Oh.
I do offer and will always offer free consults for singers and professional speakers who are
Wow.
considering going through a tongue tie release because I love to talk to people about how it could be personally affecting you. So if you would like
Mhm.
to have a personal chat with me, you can find me there. And I have some really exciting upcoming group classes and on demand courses. If people are interested in that, you can also find me
Awesome.
with that.
Awesome. Thank you for what you're sharing with this world. It's so important. I'm literally obsessed. You will not get rid of me now. So,
Thank you.
thank you so much for being on the show today, Jess. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you